Hi students, this is going to be a really quick MLA lesson just showing you how to do in-text citations. So the first one I'll kind of go over is the in-text citation with the author page style. This is the one that you're probably most familiar with. So usually you want to make sure you put the author's last name, page numbers, from which you got the quotation from, or paraphrase if that's what you're going to do. So you can either place the author's name at the beginning of the sentence or in parentheses later following your quote or paraphrase. So I have some examples right here. The first one is Wordsworth stated that romantic poetry was marked by, quote, spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, end quote. And then as you see, page number is right here. You want to put your period outside of your parentheses, okay? Then the next style is also similar, but as you see right here, the name of the author is in the parentheses along with the page number. It just really depends on how you want to do it. It's you can alternate between the two, so that way you're not constantly doing the same one. So also just to let you know, the first time that you mention an author, and if that's the only author that you're going to be discussing in your essay, you don't have to keep mentioning them over and over again. So you can use whatever pronoun, he, she, states, etc. So this is another one as well. So this is a paraphrase. Wordsworth extensively explored the role of emotion in the creative process. And again, we have our page number and our period outside of the parentheses. Okay. So this one is another in-text citation. This one's specifically for print sources with a known author. So for print sources like books, magazines, scholarly journals, newspapers, etc., you want to provide a signal phrase, usually the author's last name and page number. So if you do provide a signal word / phrase in your sentence, you don't need to include the parenthetical citation. So I have an example right here. So we have our signal phrase, according to Nicholas Carr, and you want to make sure you punctuate it correctly, comma. We have to teach our minds to translate the symbolic characters, and then you see the ellipses right here. So you put ellipses if the sentence continues, but all you took from that part was what you wrote. But we know that the sentence continues on, but you didn't put that other section. And again, we have our page number, period on the outside of the parentheses. And then I have another example right here. I'm not sure why is this like this. Okay. All right. Human beings have been described by Kenneth Burke as symbol-using animals. So you see we have our author information right here. And we have our quote. And again, parentheses, page number, and then your period. And then just another style similar to the other one we looked at. Human beings have been described as symbol-using animals. And then we have our author because we don't mention him in our sentence, right? So we want to make sure that we still cite it properly and we put the last name along with the page number. Okay. So citing a work with multiple authors. Sometimes you have a work, a piece of text, whatever, with 2 authors, 3 authors. So you want to make sure that you still include however many authors are listed. So here's an example. Jones and Murray argue that one should read a text for what it says on its surface rather than looking for some hidden meaning. So we don't have to put their names right here because we already let the reader know this is who said this. But we do put our page number, however. And now, similar to the other ones we've been talking about, because we don't mention the authors right here, we want to make sure that we put their names at the very end. Okay, so We are also going to be working with images, so I wanted to make sure to include a how to do in-text citations, citing an image. So first things first, you want to figure out who the author is. So who is the author of this photograph, right? You want to kind of figure that out. So say if you're doing an ad, usually it's pretty easy to find the photographer. So for this example, the photographer is Martin Scholler, and he photographed Colin Kaepernick for Nike. So I did a little sample sentence for you. Scholler, who photographed Colin Kaepernick for Nike, demonstrates that a simple portrait-style photograph can cause a dramatic reaction from its audience. We don't have a page number, so obviously we're not going to put a page number. However, you do want to make sure that you include the author of the photograph. Okay, so that is it for this lesson.